Hello and welcome to Higher Results, where business, workforce, and talent intersect. I'm Melody Reagan, CEO of Eye2Eye Workforce and your host. On Higher Results, we cover all things HR throughout the life cycle of a worker, as well as you and your career. Now, today we're going to talk about HR and small business. We've been covering a bunch of HR topics, but how do small businesses normally handle their HR? Well, here's a couple of things that I want to tell you. Normally in that growth curve, HR is a function that is managed by the business owner, quite frankly. The day-to-day pressures, however, of growing and developing a business don't enable us as business owners to really focus on HR, and consequently, it kind of gets put to the side. And I love this analogy. The way we handle HR is a little bit like fire safety. When we have a fire, we kind of jump in and we handle it. In fact, I have some statistics for you. According to SHRM, and we all know who SHRM is the Society of HR Managers, one of the best. They are reporting, research shows, 54% of small businesses handle employment matters themselves, so you're not alone. On top of that, in striving to do it in-house, according to ADP's Ad Hoc Human Resource Management Study, 70% of businesses with 5 to 49 employees add HR onto the workload of employees with little to no HR experience. It's typically the COO or the office manager that's handling it. 23% of the time, these ad hoc HR managers fill roles and they are doing those other things, and 12% of them are in finance. So what happens for most small and growing businesses, HR, although we know is one of the most critical functions because our people are our most important assets, unfortunately gets a little relegated. Unintended, because why? We go into business because we are experts in the business that we're going into. And with that, I'm going to introduce our guest today. I'm really thrilled to have my friend and fabulous business leader, Susan Frew. She is the CEO of the award-winning, if you haven't heard of this company, seriously, I don't even know if I can count how many awards on my hand that you have, award-winning Sunshine Plumbing and Air. So, Susan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's awesome.
So share with me, tell everybody a little bit about you and your company.
Well, I come from big corporate. As you know, I was with AT&T as a general manager internationally, and then I became a business coach for many years. And that's when I met my husband, who's a plumber. And we joked that we merged our collective talents. And in 2013, I had become really ill and I couldn't coach anymore. And so I started running the plumbing company, which was really small at the time. 2012, it was 1 employee. And we started to grow our company. First, we started using just subcontractors. Then we moved on to actual employees at the advice of an attorney that our subcontractors were looking a little fuzzy in that line of employee subcontractors. So we brought everyone on as an employee. And now we have regularly 17 employees on board with us. And we have grown from 1 truck to 12 trucks, which is how you count in the plumbing, heating, and air conditioning business, or electricians. In the trades, you count trucks. And so we went from 1 to 12 in 2.5 years.
Excellent. And by the way, as far as with that growth, who in your company is handling HR?
Well, our office manager was handling HR, and it always made me a little nervous because there were certain rules and laws that I didn't feel that she had a good handle on. And I thought that it could potentially turn into trouble. So outside of using Google to find out what the law was, we really didn't have and don't have an HR strategy.
By the way, one of the things that you, in my opinion, have a little bit of an advantage of, and that has served me being a business owner, is my corporate experience.
Yes.
You know, going through the ranks of corporate, you were with AT&T, big companies that really knew their stuff, and so was I. I was with big companies like Sprint and Level 3. They knew their stuff when it came to HR,
Yeah.
and we were really trained in that. So there was knowledge that we were able to bring forward. That
Absolutely.
I know a lot of business owners that they know plumbing, right?
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily know HR. So you had a little bit of an advantage. But here's what I want to ask is, how do you see being a business owner? What do you see as the role of HR when you had your office manager handling it?
Well, I think it was, adding people on and off to the health insurance plan, adding people on and off to any other benefits, filing any claims, getting them, if we had a workers' comp situation, filling out the paperwork, getting them to the appropriate doctor, because the workers' comp company has special doctors, doing a drug or alcohol test if there was an accident or something like that, and then hiring and terminating. And that's where I think it got really squirrely, because I don't think we did a really good job of knowing the rules on termination.
Oh,
and I know that varies state to state, and I don't think we had that really dialed in.
Excellent. Well, you know what? One of the things that I think about for HR, for all of you out there, obviously it impacts every component of your business, no matter what you're doing, even if you're in an outsource, whether you have employees or contractors, how you're hiring, how you're terminating, there's a compliance. But let's get real for a moment. If I have, not even 50 employees, to hire a full-time HR person or even a part-time, that's budget that you really don't have with the margins that you have to compete in today.
Yeah.
So what becomes options? Now, before we jump into what are some of the options as far as setting this up, now I know how you are financially and that you stay on top of things, and you really are always looking at your numbers. How do you handle payroll and benefits? Or is it direct? Are you in a PEO? How are you handling
No, we are
that?
doing it direct. We do our own payroll and we do our own benefit management. So everything is done right in-house.
Excellent. And by the way, as a business, several of the things that you have is an opportunity to figure out in your balance. So let's look at small business. You can do it in-house, or you can use a PEO, or you can do an ASO. Just go out and get payroll. Have somebody take care of payroll, take care of your benefits for you, because there's work associated with that. But one of the things that actually, Susan, you mentioned that I love that you said this, not having the HR person in-house that knows that, what often happens, we turn to our attorneys. Attorneys are very important, and they're incredibly valuable, but they're also incredibly expensive.
Oh, yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
And there are some other options. Now, PEOs have a place for some companies, and what a PEO is, a preferred employer organization, and they will co-employ that worker for you, can give you benefits, but there's a cost associated with that as well. And many firms do use in-house, they use their office manager or the COO. You can actually engage firms such as Eye, where you have an HR business partner that can be on call and help you at critical junctures, help you get your processes in place, because we know all of them. Do those checkpoints where if you have to do a termination, even having that 15 or 30-minute conversation, and you're not paying the rates of an attorney so that you have other resources. Well, here's a couple of things that I just want to also ask you. So PEO is a choice. ASOs are a choice. Bringing in a firm like Eye to Eye, where you have somebody on call, or they show up and they just handle certain things, get it in place for you, and at a significantly less cost of an attorney. But of course, you still also at times you do need an attorney. One thing that we stay really clear on is we never go past situations that are beyond. If it requires somebody to weigh in legally, we make sure we bring an attorney. Yeah. Well, so those are some of the basic functions, and you nailed it, and you have that advantage of having the experience. But here's one that I want to ask you about. You are really big on culture. And one of the things that people don't, which is why one of the reasons I asked you to be with me today, is because you are so fantastic about culture and you are excellent about marketing. And a lot of things, one thing that people don't realize, HR and marketing go together. Can't be one thing on the inside and something else on the outside.
That's true. You have to be authentic.
You have to be authentic. So how does culture play into HR for you, and how do you create culture at your firm?
Well, we pride ourselves in our reviews and what our customers say about us. So in order to drive that behavior, all of our employees, all of our technical employees, the employees that are in the field, are rewarded for getting great reviews. So they know that's the culture of Sunshine. That's how we were able to grow our business, is through the words of others. And so they can win points. So every time they get a review, they get points. And the top prize is a trip for 2 to Mexico.
Woo-hoo, I'll take
So,
that.
so they have to get 40,000 points. That's a lot of points. So 500 points for a Google review, 1,500 for a Yelp review that sticks. And that is sort of the driver of all of our culture, right? So if you're getting good reviews, that means you're delivering outstanding service. So it keeps everyone accountable. If you're not getting reviews, then I'm going to have a conversation with you and try to find out why.
By the way, you know what I love about the way you do that? with performance reviews, a lot of leaders struggle with what are the measures of good performance? Well, if you're a salesperson, it's easy. I can do it based on numbers. Here's your quota. Did you achieve it? But for example, how do you measure, is this person a good plumber or not? And I know you guys do the checks and you make sure they really know their stuff. You are tracking how they use their tools, right? And then what I love is you actually have customers regularly weighing in on the performance of your individuals.
Every single customer. So every time one of our technicians closes out a ticket, they get an email with a performance review on the back of it. And we will stalk you pretty much to have you fill out that survey. That's really important to us. And our technicians cannot earn their monthly bonus if they don't have 5 reviews and have 5 memberships. And memberships enable us to keep our customers in the loop about when maintenance is due and give them a heads up when something's going wrong or the lifespan of their equipment so that they can get ahead of it and don't have a malfunction on a Saturday night at midnight when we're not working.
You know what? I love this. One of the other trends that we're seeing is that our customers, in terms of reviews, they're allowing coworkers to weigh in and customers. And it's a little bit like the democratization of the review process. And you've built that in where you've connected your marketing to it. But there's another component to this. When I think about culture and I think about values, you actually have labeled and created, like you have your 12 points of love and et cetera. So share with us a little bit how you went about creating that and achieving your culture.
Well, everything that we did, we built an accountability into it. So the 12 points of love are just how we deliver our service to customers every single day. But then we have points of culture, and they are about respecting customers and being respected ourselves, right? So I will never let one of my employees be treated me in a mean manner or hollered at or anything by a customer. You know, we'll just simply say, maybe you're not a good fit for us. We really embed that into everything that we do. So our points of culture, our 12 points of love is the foundation of our company. And that is how we run. And if it doesn't fit into that model and we can't make something fit into the model, then we don't do it. That's always the defining factor. If it doesn't fit into the 12 points of love, then the answer is no.
By the way, you know what, you guys, we're going to post a link for the 12 Points of Love so that you can see that. And what I think is really impressive about that, so you're doing something that is culturally driven, that affects the delivery of your products. And strategically, it helps her focus on what's the right market for her. Who are the customers that we should serve or should we not serve them? You've done a complete integration. And now here's something else that I try to share with people, because I own I Workforce and I also own Crazy Good Marketing. And people say, well, how do they interrelate? Well, they do massively. They also interrelate when it comes to recruiting and what you do on social media and how you show up. So, Susan, part of what I also know about you, you have a background at AT&T in marketing, and you've come at that incredibly strong, and you coach. So all of those wonderful things come together to give you actually quite the advantage, in my opinion. How is it that you go about recruiting?
Well, a variety of different ways. There's a huge shortage in our industry. Within the next 3 years, we'll be 1 million people short. In our industry, 1 million, right? So it is incredibly difficult to find new employees, especially in the HVAC side. There's certainly seems to be more plumbers out there than there are HVAC techs.
What is HVAC? So all of our...
Heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So if you want to be hot or cold, you need HVAC because otherwise it's not going to work. But we use Facebook ads, which has been great. We use Indeed ads, but a lot of the times it's referrals from other plumbing and heating companies that we know out of state. So if one of their employees is moving to Colorado, they'll call me first and be like, hey, we just had a guy come from Hawaii. They're like, my best guy is coming. I hate to lose him, but I want him to come and work for you. So we get a lot of referrals like that, or from our guys. They think it's a great place to work, and they used to work with Pete years ago, and now Pete's not happy where he is, so they bring him over. And then, Craigslist is Craigslist. We get some things, but never really the best. It's usually through referrals.
And by the way, that's one of the other ones. Susan actually spends time where she goes out and she speaks to other plumbers in other states. And and creating those relationships within her industry, referrals. And that also leads to a cultural norm of having employee referrals. So just as far as bringing that all together. Now, I'm going to ask you, if you look back on all of your years in business, which you continue to be just growing and massively successful, Susan, but if you had it to do over again, what would maybe be a do-over or two that you'd have in HR?
Well, I think we would have enlisted the help of a professional sooner, because the return on investment on that is better. And we've had, when I worked for AT&T Wireless, when I left, I was managing 85 people. And I have never seen the shenanigans that I see, what I have seen in the last 6 years in this company. And I think it's because there's a shortage. The employees definitely have the upper hand. They know that they can find a job in an hour and a half. If they leave right now, in an hour and a half, they'll have a new job. So I think that I probably would have solicited some help from the beginning. And I think we have phenomenal benefits, but I think we probably could even do better. And creating maybe retention bonuses and creating things that are more long-term to create that stickiness that people want to stay with us longer, because there's going to be a reward at the end of it. So that's definitely something we would have done.
One of them in your business, and it's that balance with automation. There are some businesses that are just significantly more geared towards people. We're automating as much as we can, obviously, but plumbing requires hands-on. There are things that, for example, with our marketing company, it requires people for social media, but we automate out certain components of it. And it's the same thing with websites, et cetera, that we do. We're automating components, but you're definitely in a line of sight, physical business. So taking care of your people is really important.
Yes, it is.
Fantastic. Well, then I'm going to ask you, Susan, what is, I'm going to go to one other level of HR and management and leadership. What do you think companies should be doing with HR and coaching and management and developing their leaders? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, something that we do, and there's different tests out there, but we do the DISC profile. I'm certified in DISC from when I was a business coach. So we always do the DISC profile, and then we do a class on that probably twice a year. And we teach the guys and gals all about themselves and then how they can relate to other people. And then I always take my DISC profile and hang it up on the bulletin board in the training room. And I'm like, that's me. And here's the ways to communicate with me. So don't beat around the bush. I'm from New York City. I need it right between the eyes or I don't even hear you. So we do the DISC profiles. That's great. But that also helps us to discover who is a great leader, who's got leadership abilities, and then really getting to know people's motivations, because not everyone is motivated by the same thing. A lot of business owners think everyone's motivated by money. That is not true.
Not true.
There are some people that are motivated by time off, quality time, a happy work environment, working with their friends. Some of them are completely motivated by money. Some of them are motivated by recognition, awards, whatever that looks like. And we try to figure out each person and try to work a plan that fits in with who they are and what their life goals are.
By the way, we have come down to, and it's about us as leaders, managing to the individual. So in terms of doing that, I think that's fantastic. We work with a variety of companies, and part of HR is we'll do assessments when we are interviewing, bringing them into that final selection point. We also do assessments in team development, bringing them together, but it is coming down to the individual, which I think that was wonderful. Well, then I'm going to ask you if you had one bit of advice to give to other business owners about HR, what would be that one bit of advice that you would tell everybody in developing and growing their company?
I say about everything in your business, you need to find the expert. You cannot be good at everything. It's impossible. And you need to give yourself forgiveness that you don't know everything, and find the right people and get them on your bus. And outsourcing is a great way to do it because you're time sharing their time, right? So you're not paying for someone to be there 40 hours a week when maybe you only need them for 5. And it's a very cost effective and really wise move. And I wish we had done more of it in the beginning. And so it's a good news, bad news that I had that background from corporate America because I thought I knew more than I did, and it would have saved me a lot of problems.
Fantastic. Well, I'm gonna put you on the spot just as far as wrapping on this. There is another part to Susan that I want everybody to know about. Susan is also known as the Thriftinista. Oh. So just out of wrapping this up, I would love for you to share with everybody, what is the Thriftinista?
So Thriftinista, I love to go thrift store shopping. And I say that this evolved from the recession when I didn't have the money to go to the stores that I used to go to. And I realized that I could get my favorite brands, Ann Taylor and White House Black Market and Tahari, at Goodwill or other thrift stores for like $5 and not $150. And this suit that I'm wearing right now, this is Ann Taylor. I paid 99 cents for it. And this shirt is $5 that I got at another thrift store. So everyone kept asking me to take them shopping. And I was like, I don't have time to take all of you people shopping. And I really like to shop alone. So I said, what we need is a bus. So a woman in my Rotary happened to work for a company that runs all the buses for the North RTD, and she loaned me a bus. So we charge admission to come on our bus, so 40 people can come. I give you a lesson on how to thrift. We have breakfast provided, lunch provided, usually sponsored, and whatever money you pay to get on the bus goes to a nonprofit. So the first one went to our Rotary Club, the second one to Stout Street Foundation. We'll be doing some for the Women's Chamber, and they're going to find a nonprofit to donate to. And then, of course, Goodwill, because they provide so many jobs in the community for disabled people. So that's Thriftinista. So you can follow me on Facebook and see when our next events are.
By the way, you can go to Sunshine Heating, Plumbing, Air, and you can find out about Susan, but you can also right there get over to Thriftinista, and she is on Facebook. Well, Susan, thank you so much for being with us today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And everyone, we are on show every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Mountain Time. Please join us. And you can find us at i2i Workforce /hire results for any episodes that you've missed. Otherwise, we air on Facebook, and it's Facebook Hire Results. Until next week, we'll see you on the internet.